You don't know me, but I've known a few women like you.
Oh, I don't think you've ever known a woman like me.
And you never will. Welcome to 710 Radio, iHeart Radio, Rosemary's World of Cannabis. We got a couple of public service announcements we're going to bring to you, and then we're going to bring this back to you live.
Are you feeling like a shadow of yourself? Is your mood on its way down? You could be suffering from low THC, also known as cannabinoid deficiency, caused by 77 years of government interference via prohibition. Do you live in a medical cannabis state or the District of Columbia? Are you over the age of 18 and seeking non-toxic natural health, well-being, and peace of mind? Ask your doctor if cannabis may be right for you. After 10,000 years of recorded human use and 77 years of failed prohibition on the world's most extensively tested plant, the results are in. Cannabis has no known lethal dose and is arguably the safest and most comprehensive therapeutic substance known to man. Cannabis remained in the United States pharmacopoeia until 1941, and cannabinoids are currently patented by the federal government as an anti-inflammatory U.S. patent 6630507. Human brains have cannabinoid receptors. Cannabinoids are lubricants in the human body. Due to prohibition, our bodies have been denied essential lubrication. Imagine never changing or adding to the oil in your car. The use of cannabis for low THC may cause immediate relief, including a general feeling of well-being, chronic smiling or laughing, feelings of euphoria, increased creativity or clarity, a greater appreciation for music and art, the desire to dance, increased feelings of inspiration, compassion or unity, a need for truth and justice, or you may wake feeling more well-rested than usual. It's undetermined to know exactly how many symptoms the use of cannabis may alleviate because of federal prohibition. There were dozens identified in the 1909 Eli Lilly Pharmaceutical Handbook. Currently, over 80% of the population supports the right to use cannabis therapeutically, and 92% of its users have declared significant non-toxic relief. The most common side effects, which are usually mild to moderate and may fade or disappear completely over time, are dry mouth and drowsiness. Other more serious side effects can include growing and repairing brain cells and DNA, or improve vision, may prevent Alzheimer's, dementia, glaucoma, nausea, and suicide, may provide relief from autism, asthma, anorexia, arthritis, AIDS, cancer, Crohn's, depression, epilepsy, fibromyalgia, gout, IBS, insomnia, MS, migraine, pain, Parkinson's, PTSD, and spasticity. Use caution while driving or doing other physical activities until you know how cannabis affects you. May cause paranoia or nervousness, specifically caused by real-life government intervention in your quest for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in the USA. Ask your doctor if cannabis may be right for you. Brought to you as a public service announcement by the People's Plant, a campaign of conscience.
And we're back. 14 minutes after the hour. And you know if you hear the song, it's going to be a blurred line situation. That's right. We're back. And guess who we got back on the phone? We got the man. The Dan, the man that is. Yes, indeed. We're back, guys. Hey, Dan, how you doing? We're on round 2.
I'm all good, Rosemary. Thank you for having me back today. I really enjoyed yesterday.
Oh, man, I loved it. I mean, good Lord. I mean, I had to take a step back for a second because I knew you were going to bring your A game, but I was like watching the NBA Finals all over again. I'm like, wow. I was like, I mean, like I tell everybody, when you get me speechless, that means you really got something to say.
Yeah, I still have a few things to say, but hopefully it's all to help the cause in South Carolina, and also to help people understand why the feds and the other folks are so disagreeable when it comes to cannabis. It's like yesterday if you'd like for me to continue and just pull on from yesterday, I will.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, yesterday we talked about vets. We went from the federal level all the way down to the state level. And people are probably wondering what the heck I discussed Jeff Sessions' service, or Lindsey Graham's service, or the Harvey Peeler's service. Well, it's important to know count on the vet in some instances. And so when you see another person, a man or a woman that's a veteran, you tend to automatically trust them more than you would someone else because you have a shared experience, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So, to that, to the people, and they don't have your shared experience. Well, technically they're vets. So let's just say this. They don't have your shared experiences in combat or anywhere else. They just do not have them. And so they can't relate to you. And hence, that's why Sessions says bigoted, racist, and ignorant things that he does about people and marijuana. Lindsey, he just doesn't understand. And Mr. Peeler, he's too busy trying to get the Confederate flag resurrected. So I just wanted everyone to know what that connection was with that, right?
Yeah, okay. I'm going to stop you right there real quick. And
Okay.
if you want to talk about Mr. Graham and how you feel about that, it's kind of funny. After we talked yesterday, I opened up an email, and this email gave me a gift. And check this out. I'm finna give you this gift. If you don't like what Lindsey Graham is doing right now, guys, guess what? I got all his phone numbers. And I'm finna give you each one of them. You might have to play the broadcast more than once because he's got a list. The first number is area code 864-250-1417. Next number, 803-933-0112. Next one, 843-669-1505. Your next number, 843-849-3887. Okay, you got another one, 803-336-2828. And your final number, 864-646-4090. Now, if you like me, you're going to leave a message on every last one of them numbers and let them know how you feel.
Yeah, it's important that people do that. Now, I would also recommend posting those phone numbers on your page.
Oh, I'm going to do that after this telecast. I surely am.
Yeah, and Mr. Peeler's should be up there as well. That's an easy one to get to. Just bio him or just Google him.
Yeah,
You'll
his
get
is a real easy one. I think I shared that before, but I'm going to put Mr. Peeler's up there as well, so they can definitely leave opinions about that.
Yeah, and Kevin Johnson's is another one. That's a good number to have up there too.
Oh yeah, that is. We will definitely put all their numbers up for them to, since they're, ain't got nothing better to do. They're around the house and call themselves enjoying a good life. Let's go ahead and make sure when they get back to work, they got something to do. That's first of all, clear out all the voicemail they're gonna have to listen to.
I like your thinking.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you like this here. I understand it is this, how the legislation and everything works. You have to be voted in, correct?
Correct.
There's nobody appointed. So, I'm lost with our politicians here in South Carolina acting like, we were appointed. They work for the people. It's not the other way around. And so I already said, and I keep saying it, in 2018, you don't like what they're doing, vote their ass out.
Yeah, so let me say something about that, and particularly in South Carolina. I've worked all over the world, in over 100 different countries. And relatively, now we're saying relatively speaking, we're not saying one comparison to another, we're saying relatively speaking.
Right.
I find the corruption astounding in South Carolina. Astounding. Now, here's the thing that bothers me about our politicians and cannabis, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of those politicians, the Congress, or the legislators and the senators,
mm-hmm.
they work their butt off, all year. Well, they take, they have they take a respite for 5 months, I guess, or whatever. But for somewhere between $10,000 and $14,000 a year. Now, there's nobody in their right mind is going to take a job that's an attorney or somebody else for $10,000 or $14,000 a year unless there's something else involved.
Amen to that.
And then you just say Hugh Leatherman. I don't know what Hugh's deal is, but he's been in the Senate for a long time, and he's an affluent guy. And so those other guys in South Carolina, the other senators and the other folks, they all wield influence to help themselves, I believe. Except for Tom Davis. Tom Davis, I just want to throw a mention to, because I'm trashing a lot of the politicians.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Davis seems to be a really good guy who really wants to help, but he's the only guy I see supporting. All the other politicians are running from it.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom has worked for 3 years to try and get the bill off the floor. So I just give him a plug, because the other guys, want to change things politically, politicians have to fear you. That's it. They have to fear you. It's not about respect. It's not about anything else. They have to fear that you have some control over their political future. Either through knowing that knowing their scandal, or voting them out.
And I'm gonna tell you like this here. I'm speaking on that note. Every little nasty thing that Senator Johnson, perfect example, used, I have copies of all that. And if he's up for re-election, which I'm quite sure he is, whoever his opponent is, I'll be happy to donate all that to him. Because first and foremost, nobody in office should say some of the things that came out this man's mouth. And he has made national news here in South Carolina for one of the sessions that I'm talking about, speaking about the same negativity about his own race.
Yeah. And you know what's really crazy is 3 years ago he was for medical cannabis, and then last year nope, and this year no. And so someone has obviously offered him some type of enticement, either politically or otherwise.
Can I say sold out?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, sold out. And I don't mean sold train, I mean sold out.
Yes.
So what I mean, like I said, I think when he sees me or hear about me being there, I think honestly and truly, when I bring the message that I'm bringing, because I'm not coming by myself, you're going to be with me, and it's going to be 2 other of my veteran friends that's going to be with me. I already know one of them, all I got to do is ask, and they're going to be ready.
Well, we have some assets available to you.
Yes. And that's great,
okay,
because
so,
that needs to be done.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to get off the subject because we got so much to cover, but the thing is this, I tell people they're asleep. We got to wake them up. And that's the only way I know how to, is you got to get them dead in their face to face, no filter. No filter, because
right.
I want to know what they got to say. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that open platform. Because if they truly feel that way, I'm fine with it. But I want it to come out their mouth, not his.
No, you're absolutely right. I had to move for just a second. I'm sorry.
That's no problem. You didn't drop nothing.
But, it's along with that guy and Mr. Peeler. Like, I know that Mr. Peeler a couple of years ago met with a woman that was supporting medical cannabis. And when she asked him about why he wouldn't support medical cannabis, he said, "You'll have to talk to my sheriff." And then she asked him, "Well, aren't you the guy that makes the law?" Which is true.
Right.
He got up and walked out of the room. Now, our job as the voting public is to ensure that these guys do their job and pass laws. The law enforcement is there to enforce laws, not make them. They're there to enforce them. But that doesn't happen in South Carolina. What you have is law enforcement who are paid, and I mean they're on the clock. They're going to the State House to lobby against this law or this bill.
I got pictures of it.
I've never seen anything like it in my life.
We watched them march in. I was there when they marched in. It was like a scare tactic. I'm going to be honest with you. You don't scare me like that because I know I have rights. But I got pictures of them lined up against the wall, and I'll share that on Facebook as well.
No, I agree, but what I'm saying is they do it every time. So there are thousands of hours that are being paid for by the taxpayers to lobby against something they favor. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? The public, by an overwhelming 80%, want medical marijuana in South Carolina. Yet, the law enforcement folks, SLED and county and city are using taxpayers' funds to lobby against it. That
Right.
should be illegal.
That is correct. But it goes on, and I've been talking about this, Dan, now for the last 3 years. I've been talking about this. I've been trying to get mainstream media to talk about it, and they won't open their mouth.
It's crazy. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. You just have tons of police, and these are all not good guys. I mean, they really are. They want their job.
Right?
They have nothing against me, or you or anybody else. They just want their jobs.
Yep. And this is the funny thing about it. When you went to talk to some of them, because I talked to some of them that was there, Dan, and a couple of them would turn away. So no, they know where the camera's at in that area, right? They would turn away and would talk to me. A couple of them would tell me I have nothing to say, but those who did, I got an earful. And one, they wasn't happy about being there. Two, they thought it was a complete waste of time. And three, they supported cannabis. But they made sure when they talked to me, it was no way they could be seen, their lips could be seen talking about what we were talking about.
No, you're right. The couple times I've gone to the Capitol and those people were there, I would say 50% of the guys I was able to talk to privately said, look, privately, I just don't care, but I've been ordered to be here. These weren't volunteers. No. They were ordered to go. These weren't guys that had an opinion. These were guys that were ordered to have an opinion.
Right.
And, it's like, and let's talk about this for a second. The attitude of some of the law enforcement officers and DEA and federal and some of those other folks, right? Mm-hmm. Because I won't get into the fact that, it takes 1,400 pounds of cannabis in 20 minutes of smoking to OD on it, or that no one's ever gotten lung cancer ever in the history of marijuana from smoking it only. Now if you smoke marijuana and cigarettes, lung cancer from the cigarette. But marijuana has never, ever in the history of it, ever caused lung cancer. Just it by itself. Now, that has been recorded medically. Now, what these police and the DEA and everybody else has been told all their life are those things that Harry Anslinger talked about, right? And I'm not kidding. It just takes a different tact, but it's the same thing. Dopers, blah 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 blah, and that's the way their culture is inculcated. So they're not designed, they're not raised, they don't look at it as a medicine. It's just dope. And so you have to look at them that way. That they're not really enemies, but they're not educated either.
And some of them want the education, and they can't, if they got anything on them, you know what I'm saying? Some of them want to be educated. You can see when you talk to them, they light up like a Christmas tree when you say, hey, I'm da-da-da-da-da with whatever organization you're with. Like, for instance, when I tell them, I'm Rosemary Wallace and I'm with Minorities for Medical Marijuana, you see the kind of slight smile in their face. And then when you go into that, now for the few I've talked to here in this area, they actually let me go on and talk. I had one officer here in this area talk back to me and told me some interesting information on how he felt. And he was in uniform on duty. That's what surprised me. So they're wanting to put an end to this. It's a lot. We have a lot of support from the police. But at the same time, they can't really speak out because if they do, they can lose their jobs.
That's right. I agree with you. But, and let's just say, the chief of SLED, and I don't know, but I'm assuming that he is under the same restrictions that the head of the DEA is under, which is no drug under his watch is going to become legal. Right?
He stated that.
And he did? Oh, that's interesting. So the other part of that is this. is that if there is medical marijuana that becomes legal, his preference is for only oils and oils and extract.
Right.
To be legal, not smoking and not edible. So let me educate him while we're here, okay? So, and the public. The reason he doesn't want smoking or edibles is that if you have smoking in the medical marijuana bill, that will reduce his arrest significantly, okay? It will reduce his arrest significantly. That will also reduce his ability to get high-dollar grants from the DEA. And remember that 85% of his arrests already are for marijuana. 760 people died last year of opiates, no one for marijuana, but 85% of all of the chief of feds arrests are in this state, not the chief, but in the state are for marijuana.
Okay. Right. Okay, I'm gonna stop you on that point. I don't know if you've been following the opioid bill that they're trying to pass.
Hit me with it. No.
Okay, they got a bill right now that they're working on that's dealing with opioids and opioid addiction here in South Carolina. But in the treatment that they're talking about using, I'm not too thrilled about that.
Is it optional, or is it a treatment that you have to go to because they say you have to go to it?
That is something I gotta dig a little bit more into, and I'll probably do that on my downtime this evening after the show to get back with you on that, because I've been so busy with other stuff. But I just thought that was kind of funny. You want to stop the opioid, but you won't allow the cannabis.
Well, here's the problem, really. You know, this is just my opinion from working in South America and other places a few years ago. If you want to stop the problem, you have to terminate the people that are causing it. That's the bottom line. And I know that sounds severe, right? But if you don't want heroin and you don't want crystal meth, then the people that sell it have to, not the users, the people that sell it, have to have extraordinarily severe penalties. Because if you don't, then it's worth the risk to sell it. And the United States doesn't have those, really. You look at a place like Singapore, people that do heroin, people that sell heroin, they get killed. Singapore doesn't have a heroin problem. Now, ours is systemic, you know. Everywhere we go to war, there's heroin. Vietnam, you know, Afghanistan, all of those places, there's just tons and tons of heroin and opium and everything else. It seems to be just part of our culture. And we can't seem to get away from it, and we don't seem to be able to have a law that will stop it, you know, which is obvious from this latest the latest opioid addiction problem and overdose problem. So I don't know what the answer to that is. It's not my expertise. I just know that for the people that sell it, there has to be a severe penalty, a severe cost. For the people that use it, you know, I think it's ridiculous to put people in jail for that, but you know, that's the government.
Yeah.
Let's get back to cannabis, though.
All right.
So I was talking about why smoking and stuff like that. So the whole smoking thing is so that they can continue arresting people. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Exactly.
Smoking marijuana. You know, the chief and some of the other folks will say, well, there's no doctor in the world that's going to recommend smoking medicine. Well, that's because there's no doctor in the world certified in marijuana medicine yet. Secondly, it's also because smoking marijuana stinks and it allows law enforcement folks to find it. And you know, it's a ruse to be able to come after people. Now, the edibles are incredibly helpful in the right hand and prescribed by a doctor, right?
Right.
There's no reason edibles should be illegal, except for if you have edibles, guess what? And you're driving around, and you shouldn't be, it's illegal, but if you are, nobody can tell because you don't have them with you. So how do they arrest you? They can't.
Right.
They say it's because edibles are not as tightly controlled and not as tightly produced, but that's not true anymore. If like the dispensary I go to, before I even buy edible, I ask the people about it. They tell me about it. They're fully informed. On the box of the edible, like I used Fishy Punch edible,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not a plug. It's just what I used. But
hey, that's what you use. That's what you use.
yeah, and they work and they're good. But they're discreet. No one can find them. Now you get to the oil and the extractables. If you have those in your car by chance, you're gonna get in trouble. Because even though they're legal, if you have them in the car and you smoke in your car, you're in trouble. But the thing that cracks me up the most is the extractables like Shatter and some of the other stuff. Talk to Emily McSherry or someone else about this, but I don't know any application for Shatter other than getting high. I don't know any application for the dab other than getting stoned because the THC content is so extraordinarily high.
Well, maybe I can shed a little light on that for you, Dan.
Okay, all right.
I've used dabs before, and to be honest with you, in certain cases, I would rather use that dab because the fact is, because it's high THC content, because besides me having post-traumatic stress disorder, I deal with a lot of pain from my total knee replacement. Now, with that, you get, like with smoking, you ingest that as well. It's a smoking process, and it hits you so much faster, and it lasts longer. Okay, most flour you get can last you 2 to 3 hours. Now, I'm just speaking for myself. I can't speak about nobody's else situation. Now,
no, it's okay. I want to be corrected.
Yeah. For a person that like me, that dab would last me 4 to 6 hours because it is so concentrated. And I'd rather do that 1 or 2 dabs than 3 or 4 joints. So I can understand that point, but this is the thing I'm going to point out to people. That Shatter and everything else is extremely expensive because of the process. And this is the second thing I'm kind of scared about. The point is on how some people extract the concentrate from the plant.
You're right.
That's what scares me.
Supposedly, Shatter and the other stuff that's extracted with butane is safe. But I had someone very, very close to me was giving all of their shake to a guy to make Shatter, right?
Right.
And so I had a chemist take a look at the Shatter because I was concerned about the butane. Well, and it might have just been this package, not all. So I'm not generalizing everybody.
Right.
But I will say that the Shatter this guy made was perfect. I mean, it was just absolutely perfect. And the butane was almost non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
But butane is a petrochemical, and so there were tons of hydrocarbons left in the Shatter.
Ew.
And so it's kind of like smoking off of this particular batch was kind of like smoking off of a car exhaust pipe.
Exactly, and a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah. And I'm not saying everyone. I'm just saying that you need to be aware of that.
Yeah, I mean, you have to purge that process. In that process, it has to be purged correctly, and it has to be tested. And that's something South Carolina is really probably not going to want to do. So once again, I say I have a huge problem with that one. And to be honest with you, unless I knew the person personally and could personally see the process, I don't want no Shatter.
No, I only used it very briefly, but once I had the chemical analysis done, and I'm just going to say, personally, for me and my friends, only, I recommended that they stop using it. But just for me and my friends.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anyone's wrong for using it. If they're having fun, whatever, I don't care. That's up to them, not up to me.
Yep. I agree with you 110% about that. I mean, that's why I won't, do it. Like I said, unless I know and seen the test myself, and it's only like 2 people on the planet right now that I personally know their process. I've seen their test results. I would use their products, and unfortunately, they're not in this area. I had to go across the country out to Colorado to get it. But yeah, I know their product is tested and they got good product, but they purging in the correct manner and fashion, which I'm not going to go into details because the state that I'm in.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. So let's talk a little bit. We've gone all over the place now, but let's get back to South Carolina for just a second and the law enforcement guys, right?
Right.
So we were talking about how, how they were forced to go to the Senate hearings and how many of them support medical marijuana and how the chief of the state law enforcement division said, it'll never be legal on his watch and so on and so forth.
Right.
Now, that is all, what I was saying earlier, is all the same attitude as Jeff Sessions, the DEA, and all those guys. Now, that's all, and I'm going to tell you right now, there's no scientific fact to hold that attitude. None. There's zero. So all of those guys have to harken back to Anslinger, to where darkies start acting like white men, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's a quote directly from Harry Anslinger for the people that didn't hear yesterday's show.
Yeah. You can
So
you can refresh them on that, because I think that, the things that was said, and I'm hoping you will refresh them on all of them, because this needs to be known, and I've been talking about it for a while, but I haven't put it in the way that you have. That's why I would be happy if you would repeat what you said on yesterday's show.
Yeah, I'll bring them up in just a minute.
Okay.
Give me about 5 or 10 minutes before we quit. So that bigoted kind of attitude exists. Like, for instance, and I'll just tell you, it's not something I'm proud of, but I'll tell you, I'm very ill, and I take 7 different pharma drugs a day plus cannabis while I'm in California.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got the bright idea a couple years ago that I would bring an ounce of cannabis with me while I was driving across country. Probably the last trip I was ever going to drive across country on.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm coming along, and everybody says this, but my wife's a lawyer and a judge, so I know these are facts. I was stopped illegally by a Border Patrol guy. I was 70 miles from the border. And I was in Texas. I was stopped, and he then made me wait while a dog searched my car. Then he made me get out. They searched my car again. Then they started tearing my car apart. And then finally they found an ounce of marijuana with all of my pharma drugs in the briefcase in the back of my car. So I thought I was just going to get off. I was a former military guy. I'm really sick. I've got my license with me, my medical marijuana license. Nope. So then I tell the guy about my exploit in South America and in Africa. And I said, "You're really going to arrest me?" And this Border Patrol / DEA guy leans in and says, "You know what that makes you? Just another fucking doper." So from that moment on, I knew there was a problem. It cost me $26,000 to get out of trouble for 1 ounce of marijuana in Texas. But the point of all this is, don't feel sorry for me. The point of all this is the attitude, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that attitude exists from the top all the way down. And if there's just no amount of convincing a lot of these people. The only way you're going to be able to convince them is at the ballot box. Or find stuff stuff on them that will force them to vote your way.
Mm-hmm.
That's
It's
pretty
sad
much
that,
it.
and you know what? I've said this before, and I think it was on a broadcast whilst I was in Denver about the same thing, that it's gonna take, voting them out, or pretty much political blackmail in some shape, form, or fashion, which is kind of ridiculous. But you're spot on.
Well, let me tell you, there are guys on the medical committee. Let's see, I'm going to say this correctly. I'm under the understanding that there's a possibility that one or two of the people in the medical committee actually have or do currently smoke marijuana and use cocaine, and there are other problems as well there.
Do tell.
With underage females, but those people have to investigate it. You have to actually look into it, and then you have to have the intestinal fortitude to say something about it.
Well, I tell you like this. I will send you my Gmail address off air, and if you happen to have that information, I have no problem with sharing. Sharing is caring, I always said.
Well, when I was more interested in getting people than trying to get things accomplished, I spent a lot of money on having people looked at all over South Carolina. But the most important thing now is not to get people, but to get the bill. Now, if people have to be gotten in the process, well, that's their fault.
Well, I look at it like this, and anybody know me, know I feel this way, is this. You can hide from man, but you can't hide from God. And if these so-called people that have these things, especially the ones that's the closet, I want the closet cannabis users. I want that one. I want the one that's underage children. I want him too. I want all of it, because the point is this: I want the people to know who you are electing in this next campaign that's sitting up there in Columbia. They might, excuse the expression, bitch and complain about how much money they're making, but they're making money on the side. We all know that. But that truth needs to be known before this next election. It's not calling getting got, it's called being informed. And personally, I like to know who I'm putting up there. Unfortunately, it don't always work out, as we see with 45. We just gonna leave that at that. People knew what they was getting, but they did it anyway. Hopefully this time, just maybe, this is not no what they call fake news. This is real news. I have nobody paying a salary to me, you, or anybody else that's on this show.
Right.
We're giving real facts. So with that in mind, yes, I do want that information if you have it, or tell me off the air how we can get that information, because that's important. That's what people need to know when they go to that ballot box in November 2018.
No, that's true. But what you have to realize, Rosemary, is, and I'll just say this, then we're going to move on to another subject I'd like to talk about. And this is what stopped me. The liability is huge.
Okay, let me ask you this. If it's public record, ain't nothing to be said.
No, it's not public record.
Okay, we'll talk about this more off the air then.
Yeah, good. So let's talk about South Carolina a little more.
All right.
Okay? I'm going to throw a pitch out while I'm looking up my Anslinger quotes, but I'm going to throw a pitch out one more time for unity within the medical marijuana community in South Carolina. The groups are headed by Jill Swing, Emily McSherry, yourself, and I forget the other person's name.
Janelle Ralph.
Yeah, Java. That's right. Yeah.
We lost Dan. He'll be back in a couple of seconds. I have no fear on that. So, guys, so far, if you don't know, Dan has been putting a lot of information out there, and I got a feeling we're going to get a lot of good shows from this show, guys. And like we were saying real quick whilst we waiting on Dan to connect back with us, there's a lot of things you need to know. Okay, Dan, we were just telling the folks you'll be calling back in any second.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's not a problem.
Okay, so, but what I was going to say about those groups is, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate everything you guys are all doing, but you're going to lose. You are going to lose, and the reason we're going to lose is because of you. Because of your petty. Now, if the 4 or 5 or 8 groups that are in South Carolina, the heads of them, could all meet at the same table and talk, and then divide up responsibilities and go after it, we could win. But it can't be just Jill Swinney, and it can't be just Emily McSherry. It can't be just Rosemary. And what's common about all this? All women leading these groups. You know, we need some people to join, and we need people to support, but mostly we need the women to get along and get together and work together.
Exactly. I agree with you on that 110%, and I've been calling for this for the longest, that, you know, all of us pull together and work together, and I'm working with, everybody that asked me to come on board and help get this message out. I have no problem with it. Now, the other 3 ladies, I hope and pray that they can get their differences settled, because we all started out together some years ago as one unit. I don't know where the separation came into, and I'm saddened about it. I truly am. And I'm so glad you are bringing this back up, because I said the same thing, that if we all don't pull together, we can lose, and we will lose, because it's not supposed to be all about me. It's supposed to be all about we. Somehow the message has been lost about what this fight started about. We all had an agenda. Mine was veterans, the others was kids, the others was epilepsy. I can't even say that word today. Or whatever they may be. But at the same time, we all wanted unity in this plant. Now here we are 3 years later. It's like we're in divided corners and go. I'm willing, like I said, I'm willing to support any and everybody. I've said this time and time again. But, it's up to them to say, hey, Rosemary, we got such a date, or would we like for you to come on, like I'm doing here in August. I'm speaking, and I would love for everybody in the cannabis community to come out and listen to what I have to say, because this is going to be totally different from anything you've ever heard. You're going to hear the real deal about why I support cannabis, why I use cannabis. You only heard some. So if you really want to know the whole deal, you need to come out August 5th, 3 o'clock at Winthrop. I know Dan is going to be there. I know the Canamedic's going to be there. I know Coach is going to be there. And I got a lot of other big name people that's really talking about coming here. So if you really are serious about what you do in the cannabis community, you still got time to mark that off on August 5th, and we'll be talking about that more later. But I had to put that little plug in there because I'm tired, man. I mean, we got such strong dynamic groups that could come together and we could kick ass.
Well, we do. And, I'll stop with the groups, but I'll just say this. And I hope they all hear this. All the effort, all your personal efforts over the last 3 to 5 years are going to be wasted because you are not able to get along with the other folks, or vice versa. They're going to be wasted. We need big groups, not just a bunch of small groups. We need one big group. Now, if you can't get over that because you're hoping to get rich from your group, then step out. But if you're there to help everybody, we need to join together. If not, just take a look at Ohio and say, here it comes.
Or better yet, take a look at Florida, what they're going through.
Yeah. Okay, so give me a couple of minutes to read some of these Anslinger quotes. And I just have one more thing to say, because this was more of a discussion than us going through some stuff yesterday, which was really, the discussion part was really good as well. But first thing I want to say to all the veterans is once again, is this. If the United States of America can send a 19-year-old across the pond as a trigger puller in a place he's never been before. I think when he comes back and he needs cannabis to help him, I think he's mature enough to use it. Okay?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
The hypocrisy of this law is just incredible. We need you in South Carolina. We need you to show up. We need you to join these groups. Start a group of your own and then join one of those leaders. But we need your input and we need your leadership. Now, black community. I'm about to read some quotes that's all about you. But I have to tell you, I am so disappointed that you guys have let, basically a bunch of moms carry the ball for you. A bunch of white moms carry the ball for you. Now, that's not bad. They're great people. But they don't know what's going on in the black community, and they could sure use your help in finding out and sure use your voice to help change some things in the Senate. So I'm telling you, and I'm coming from a place of a great deal of respect and love, you have to get out of your house. You have to talk to Rosemary. It's either that or the next time you get busted, look in the mirror and say, it's my fault. Because that's what it comes down to. Now I'll read some of these quotes from Harry Anslinger, and I will say to you that, though not as deeply insulting, I think that the attitudes are still pretty pervasive throughout DEA and law enforcement when it comes to marijuana and the people they arrest. So I'll read two or three, and one that I find particularly interesting is, this is from 1930. Harry Anslinger was the first appointed drug czar. He was the head of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics. And here's one of his quotes. Remember, this guy is a Fed. He's speaking to the American people. There are 100,000 total marijuana smokers in the U.S. Most are Negroes, Hispanics, and Filipinos, and entertainers. Their satanic music, jazz, and swing result from marijuana usage. This marijuana causes white women to seek sexual relations with Negroes, entertainers, and any other. That's one quote. Here's another one. Marijuana influences Negroes to look at white people in the eye, step on the white man's shadow, and look at a white woman twice. Reefer makes darkies think they're as good as white men. And last but not least, the primary reason to outlaw marijuana is its effect on the degenerate races. Now, if you don't think that's happening now, you would be wrong.
It's been proven time and time again in local media, national media, and all across the world, exactly what you just said. I mean, it's been right here in our area, right up in Charlotte, North Carolina, right there in Gainesville, Florida. I could name Denver, Colorado. I could keep naming Louisiana. I mean, I could keep naming place after place after place after place after place that people have lost their lives over these three words. I smell weed. We lost him once again. He should be, there we go. Okay, it's not a problem. I was talking at the time. I knew that we lost you real quick. But like I was telling people, the three words, especially in the African American community, can get us killed. I smell weed.
Close or not?
Mm-hmm.
Those are just disgusting, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, it's totally disgusting. I think every time I hear it or see it or whatever the case may be, even I mean, I sit here listening to you read it, and it just like it stands the hairs up on the back of my neck, because those words cut me deep, and for more reasons than one. Because the point is this affects more than just my nationality. It affects a lot of nationalities that's in my family. So that I take very personally. And here we are in 2017. We still are living under some of the most racist laws in the country, and more people are not outraged. So that's where I have a problem.
Yeah, no, I remember what I said yesterday was, you know, there was one policeman in Greenville, South Carolina, arrested a white guy. He got a ticket.
Right.
2 days or 3 days later, arrested a black guy. He went to jail. Same amount.
Yep. I've seen it go on.
It's not a fair system until marijuana is legal. And you know, you've got to have medical marijuana legal, first and foremost, so that people can get... and the other part of that is, where the people standing back going, well, that doesn't help me much. Yes, it does. It helps you. Because if people are allowed to smoke marijuana, like the vets and some of the other people, then that takes away one of the primary ways of the police from arresting people.
Or in our case, targeting. Because when we get stopped, when we get stopped, they automatically, if you look a certain way or a certain color, they expecting it. I mean, that's what makes me nervous. Is the fact is this: we know people with, you know, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, news, and everything like that. Like somebody like myself, if I see blue lights, I'm gonna panic, because I know right then and there they gonna tear my damn car down.
Oh, it's yeah. And then here's the other thing, right? I've looked long and hard, speaking that word. This is way off subject, but you know, one thing I found out was that, you know, those Border Patrol roadblocks and some other roadblocks are totally illegal. The cops call them safety checks in South Carolina.
Right.
So I would look at the legality of those. I just checked Border Patrol and stuff like that, but those are totally illegal. You don't even have to stop for those. But the police stops in South Carolina, I don't know really how legitimate they are, because they use those safety stops to arrest people for drugs and alcohol and stuff like that.
That's right.
So
but this is the thing, though. This is the thing, though, that might give them a technicality. I don't know if you paid attention to that, not Dan, when you come back and forth to the area. I've been here going on 11 years. And what they'll do at around the end of, about the middle of June, especially this week, if you pay attention to the radio and TV shows, they're letting people know. They give them a warning. I mean, I think the telecast, different little PSAs they put out, I think they start around about the 11th of June, and they'll run all the way now through Labor Day, about, you know, drinking and driving or anything like that. So they warn you.
Right.
They give you warning now. It ain't like you don't know.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, they have a number here that will send you alerts to possible checkpoints here.
Yeah, but my point is, are the checkpoints even legal?
I don't think they are.
I don't even care about the warning. Are they legal to search cars and other stuff? Are you just checking for safety items?
Well, this is the
what
thing.
I'm asking.
They got to have probable cause, which a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But a lot of people don't know that. That's the sad thing about it. When that stop comes on, if you ain't swerved or whatever the case may be, when you open your mouth, if you drinking alcohol, that's automatically grounds to search. I can understand that. But if you ain't got none of that going on and you look like me, depending on what that cop move is, he can let us go on, or, you know, God forbid.
He's taking you out of your car.
Yeah, he can't ask me to get out that car if I'm not drunk. But a lot of people ain't gonna know that. If I had no reason to be stopped, I'm not getting out my car. I'm going to give him the proper ID, and I'm going to talk him through the steps. Officer, first of all, I have both of my hands on the steering wheel. Officer, I am now reaching into my purse. Officer, I have my wallet in my hand. Officer, here's the wallet to you. You can pull my wallet open, pull out my ID. Officer, I am now asking your partner to reach in my glove compartment. This is what I do during a traffic stop.
Yeah, it's the only way to do it. But don't let him in. First, lock your doors before he walks up to your door.
Exactly.
But also, only roll your window down a couple inches.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, listen, I think I'm going to have to get ready and go now. But I do have a couple little things I wanted to pass to you. First and foremost, Rosemary, I am so very proud of you. I truly am. You know, you saw a need and you stepped up, and I don't really care what anybody else says. It takes a lot of guts to do what you're doing, and I really appreciate it. The other thing is that the people in South Carolina, you can win this fight. We can win this fight. But you've got to get involved. As long as you have senators that are just sitting around making decisions on their own without you, and as long as the only thing they're hearing is bad stories about people being sick, we're going to lose.
And you're
we
right.
can win this fight. We're going to win this fight, but we need everybody involved.
And you're so right.
Yeah. And then, lastly, I would just like to tell all of my brothers and sister veterans to have a fucking awesome 4th of July. And everybody else, I hope that you have a great day, too.
And
And
Dan,
Rosemary, that's it.
Dan, thank you so much. I'll be talking to you off air at another date and time because we got a lot, so much more. And this, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know. I'm telling Dan this before he gets off the phone. Dan, this will not be your last time on the air. I'm letting you know that right now.
Well, anytime I can help you, dear. I
Right.
thought the second day was a little more scattered than the first, but it all worked out.
Hey, I love. You know what? We talk in a way that I hate to use the word stoners, but we talk in a way that they speak, and
Right.
they want
Yeah, I
to.
like that.
And they want to get those issues out there like that. But the thing is this: you keep control of the conversation and bring it back to the point. And that's why it works so well. It gets to the point where everybody can understand. You know, we get on that point, we explain that point, but then we come back to the issue at hand. And that's why I said, Dan the man, you always have a seat at this table anywhere I am, no matter where at.
Thank you, darling. Have a wonderful day, and have a wonderful holiday.
Thank you so much. You too, Dan. God bless.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Guys, I don't know about you, but wow. For 2 days, I've had the opportunity to talk to Dan about how he feels about medical cannabis, how he feels about cannabis rights, the law, and something that's near and dear to my heart is about people like me getting out here to support medical cannabis. So if you don't know how to do that, I'm finna tell you right now. It is an organization called Minorities for Medical Marijuana. What Minority Medical Marijuana does, we support, we diversify, and we get action done. What that means is this: we lobby, we go out, we educate, the whole 9 yards. If you want more information, go to Facebook, Minorities for Medical Marijuana, or you can go to www.minoritesformedicalmarijuana.org. Or better yet, you can go to my Facebook page for those who are here in South Carolina, because I am the chapter president for Minorities for Medical Marijuana. Go to Minorities Medical Marijuana / South Carolina, and you can get the information also on that, guys. Hey, we've had a great 2 days. It's the 4th of July. Hey, my grill is lit up and smoking. If you know, like I know, we're going to get them ribs on. We're going to get a couple burgers in. We're going to do it South Carolina side. I'm not really celebrating. It's just a day to sit back and relax, because I can't really celebrate. And you know what I'm going to tell you. Nobody's free until we're all free. Now, we have 30 states in the District of Columbia that's using cannabis medically and recreationally. Am I saying should we have recreation in South Carolina? No, I'm not. We got to get medical first. So what I'm saying is this: if you got some time, I gave you those numbers. Make sure you give them a call and let them know how you feel about this plant. You've already said it on paper. Now put it in voice. That's my time. You have a blessed weekend. This is Rosemary's World of Cannabis, 710 Radio, iHeartRadio, and we're out.